All right. We are live. It is Friday. I am fired up. How about you?
I am fired up. Fired up Friday.
Yes, it is Fired Up Friday. This is the OG Fired Up Fridays. We started, I think we did the first one maybe like last summer.
Yeah, when wires were everywhere. I mean,
no. The first ones we did was your
coffee shop.
Yes.
Coffee shop.
Your tendency to go live always.
But I'm going to share a new coffee shop later.
Oh, all right. Yes. Okay, fabulous. So I got my partner, Daniel Eng here, and he is, in more ways than one, responsible for anything that happens live and in the studio because he is the king of... Now, are you the king of just going live or the king of not wanting post-production?
I think the king of just going live. Post-production, I mean, it'd be nice to have, but, it's just I'm not that person.
Dude,
I'm learning this, right? I'm learning this.
There we go.
Yes.
Well, and so, I would freely admit I love the sound of my own voice and all of that stuff, but I never wanted to be the guy on camera. I wanted to be the guy, making the stuff. And then, partly that was imposter syndrome. But then whenever you forced me to go live, because I thought the first time it's like, oh, I'll stop by, we'll have a coffee, talk or whatever, grab a selfie, of course. Because that's the other patented move is like, my arms are long enough to do that.
Actually,
yeah. Oh, see how the sausage is made. There we go. And like right now, here we are. It's happening live. Yes. And so anybody that follows Daniel will notice he has, it literally has to be in the thousands by now. Cause I've gotten shots like that from you, on the other side of the country from dudes that I know from Dallas. And I'm like, whoa, yep. Okay. Shout out to GP Terrio. Just saw him yesterday.
Yep. Met him in Cabo.
Yes.
I couldn't meet him in Dallas, but I met him in Cabo. It was great.
Right. So. Well, whatever it takes. So, man, this is so obviously today there's no Wayne. Shout out to Wayne's son who broke his wrist, and so that's getting fixed right now. Having 5 kids, I can't even, I got 0 kids, and that still stresses me out.
Are you sure? You don't have kids you don't know about?
I'm positive. They would have come back to haunt me by now.
All right.
Karmically speaking, that would have come back to haunt me. Okay, so anything that you're fired up in particular about?
Well, I'm fired about just, Rick, our team that we're creating, our community that's growing, just a lot of leaders that step up. I enjoy seeing leaders that, take charge, right? Because we're all leaders here, even
yes.
You're taking charge with, having your team and your content creation and what you're doing with production and all that. I love seeing that.
Thank you.
So,
well, and you're a huge part of that. And then shout out to Paul, speaking of leaders where it's like, I'm loving watching the guys come in. So now that I've been here for a minute and been plugged into the We Partners Network, y'all, having been plugged into that for a minute and watching the different folks suit up, show up, and take a role.
Yep.
And I'd say kudos to you too for letting go of the wheel.
And it's hard. You have to have patience to kind of let go, because it's not like I'm a control freak, but I just want certain things a certain way. However, as a leader, you also have to let other people lead.
Yes.
So that's a learning curve for any leader is to let others lead.
And I am certainly cut from the control freak cloth. And, man, there is just something to be said for not letting go completely, but taking your hand off the wheel. Like I can imagine when I was a little kid, my super unsafe 1970s thing to do or whatever, where your grandfather would have you in his lap and it's like, okay, now you drive. And then your hand was on the steering wheel of a giant Oldsmobile or whatever. And clearly you're not driving, but yeah. You get that thought. And so just to be in a spot where having, my little pack of strays over here that show up and, all are at various levels of getting into, it's kind of the creator gig economy kind of thing where watching everybody's skill set grow as well.
Yeah. I mean, when, I got my Model X Tesla and it has a full autopilot, they just rolled out their beta. And it's just weird, it turns, it exits off for you now. So it's not just staying in its lane. It's actually maneuvering and exiting and stopping at the stoplight.
Okay.
So that is really weird.
I might trust that in y'all's subdivision or something.
Correct. But off the highway, exiting,
Bro.
taking my kids to school, But I told my kids, like, hey, if you ever get this car, you're not doing autopilot yet.
Disable.
Yes.
You'll be up under the, okay. Wow. Okay, that's crazy. Now you had one of the original tests because it's like I know. So I've known you for more than a minute, and you were the first you were the first actual human that I knew that had a Tesla. Back when it was like a sci-fi thing, where it's like, oh, it's the Star Trek car.
Yeah, 2013 is when I had my Model S. It didn't have sensors. I didn't have autopilot, so it was just really basic. But it still runs.
Dude,
so
yeah. I
Over
mean,
10 plus years.
right. And so, yeah, now if we could get Daniel a show and have Elon Musk sponsor it, that'd be awesome.
That'd be nice.
Yes. So, okay, so we'll do. Oh, I did have one question. So this is. So this morning I'm just a chaos junkie or whatever. So like my all my feeds on social media and Instagram or whatever, just like the world melting down. But I saw something where it said San Francisco, they had a building sale that was 90%. I'm assuming that it was like some sort of commercial REO thing where they basically they got a 90% reduction that sold for 62 million like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and it was just sold for 6.
Well, probably. I mean, I didn't see that article, but there's probably a lot of stuff going on in San Francisco. So,
Yeah.
so either it was fully occupied at one point when they got sold, and then office market is getting hit on the commercial side because of COVID. A lot of companies aren't need all that space, especially in that market in San Francisco. And I'm not an expert in that market, but there's a lot of companies that are moving out of California to Texas. So that could be a factor. There's a lot of factors in any kind of sales. You just have to get to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, that one just jumped out at me because like normally I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. So it was like, whoa, okay. But so let's do our little GPT topic here. Today we will be looking at patience, and it says patience is not simply the ability to wait; it is how we behave while we are waiting. And that is from Joyce Meyer. It says practice patience in a situation where you normally feel rushed or frustrated. And then for me, that is ample opportunities every day. And, one of the things like with my guys, this comes back into the whole leader thing and watching folks where a lot of sprinters,
Yep.
and they come out of the gate fast, but then the enthusiasm wanes.
Yep.
And the idea of nothing worth having, or like the thing that you think that you want that is basically like, you have a lot of folks that want that 1%er life or whatever. And it's like, well, you're gonna have to do 1% behavior.
Yeah.
And one of those things is none of that happens instantly.
Yeah.
And so for you guys, so like even now when you're building the network, I'm sure that you see a lot of, not necessarily, people want shortcuts. Not that they're,
That's human nature.
Yes.
I mean,
and so for you, like, what is the thing you're like, are you working on patience in any area?
always. I think my patience always being tested every day, especially when you have kids, right? But as you grow your organization, you have to imagine. So for me as a leader, I know that, right now we're at 200 plus. I know that, when you have to pre-plan what it would look like at 1,000, you got to pre-plan what it would look like at 10,000, because those are opportunities. That's a possibility. And so I have to pre-plan now what a organization looks like at 1,000.
Yes.
Right? You got to make sure, like, okay, with 1,000 people, do you have 10 strong running partners, right? That are building and that are helping out, or do you have 50 running partners, right? Because it makes it easier when you have more people involved, right? So that's a patient, because I'm trying to identify good leaders that are willing not just to run with me, but to just do life together.
So what's the breakdown of, so like there's you and Calvin are as far as like y'all are the top of the pyramid,
Okay.
and then you guys have employees like under you, right?
So I mean, there's no the only employees that I have is really our 3 VAs that we have.
Oh, okay, okay, right on.
Yeah, but like our property management, that's a different company. But if you're talking about our real estate brokerage side, it's really, there's no employees. That's
Okay,
what I like.
so, okay,
Nobody's my. We're all business partners now.
love it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would make things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because like even like with building the business, and I always tell everybody everything takes 5 times longer and costs 3 times more than you think it's going to. And it's like, if you can kind of get into that mindset, you know, and so you're at 200 now. And so
really, if you're looking at, I don't look at it as a pyramid, because it's any company, any growth, there's always going to be a scale of some sort. So yes, Calvin and I started our network, but when we realized that we're creating this real estate club, I brought in about 30 people on my level 1, and those 30 have grown into almost 78. And then from there, they brought in almost another 70 something as well. So our bulk of our group right now is level 2, tier 2, and tier 3.
Right on.
So, but then, there's going to be, so now for me as a leader, I'm learning who is in tier 3 that I can pour into so they can continue to grow their business. And that's really what it is any business is, there needs to be growth, but you have to be patient, right? I cannot compare myself to like a Mike Sherrard up in Canada, right? He is like, we started at the same time. I'm at 200, he's at 2,000, right? Our approaches are very different. But at the same time, as we're all building our organization, we all have our value prop. We all have ways we do different business.
And so I'm amazed, though, at like your level of just go, because it's like, obviously, you have to find it fulfilling, because for me, the thing that allows me to have even a little bit of patience is the fact that I love it, where it's like I work 7 days a week, but it doesn't feel like work. And so somebody asked me a week or so ago about, be careful you don't burn out. And I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for like 7 or 8 years at this clip. The only thing that would burn me out now is going back to the delegating and the partnering, is trying to do everything myself. Yeah. But once I got to the point where I could let go of the death grip that was really based in insecurity, where it's like, okay, I need to have super quality control on everything I do because ... what will they say about me? Well, as soon as I can actually delegate some of that stuff, and like talking about the post-production earlier, or like Cruz being my first like Jedi apprentice, that now he can do everything I can do. Yep. But there's also a payoff there, and I'm sure you have it, like where you put that effort into somebody, and then 2-3 years later, the patience pays off, and they're good.
And it has, because if you're looking at because the platform that we're on, the payout is through what they call revenue sharing, right? So they share the revenues that you're growing, right? Because they don't hire recruiters. We are technically the recruiter, but we're not recruiting. All we're doing is sharing a platform. People are attracted to the community. That's really what we're building, is the community, and people are attracted to that. And that allows us to be growing, and also for me to pour into people, right? And things, just, if I'm pouring my time and energy and efforts, you want to be rewarded. But my reward is not just the financial reward. My reward is because I see someone grow and is actually changing their lives.
Well, yeah,
right? Because that's the goal. The goal is to change lives.
And I can speak from experience now, because probably about a year and a half ago or whatever, the very first time we were in the van, and I was around, because it's like there's that aspect of, okay, these guys can't really be like this 24 hours a day. Like the very outgoing, gregarious, unselfish. Because the first thing that I saw in one of the community events or partnership events was, I don't know, probably 70 or 80 people there, and I didn't realize that they weren't all part of the network. And then it's like, whoa, okay, y'all are actually doing stuff just to do it, and for me, that boiled down to, like, when I love the process, the rest of it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, even the guys that work for me, I say, like, if you're doing this because you want to do it for the money, that's going to go away fast. Yep. And you're going to burn that.
And people are going to see right through that.
Yeah. And to me, that's the thing that I wouldn't say necessarily, obviously got to keep the lights on and buy groceries or whatever.
Of course.
So I don't categorize it as doing it for the wrong reason, but having the priority, or maybe seeing it from the perspective of, you get to do this versus I have to do this, or I want to do this ... and I want these other things that I may or may not be good enough to get, Yeah. Because I always tell my guys, if you don't suck and you don't quit, you'll be all right in the long run.
Yeah.
But seeing you guys actually, where you talk about like pouring into people and everything, I was blown away. And then, so clearly you must love the process and I mean,
I really found my why, right? You have a platform that's not just regional or local anymore. It's actually nationwide and global. I'm going to Europe this month, and I'm trying to connect with people in that market because I'm just trying to find good leaders to come to this community and just kind of build something. But it's not building for me.
right.
Right? We're building a legacy for the organization because the more talent pool comes together, that's the resource group.
So
right?
now, are you going to work on vacation? Is that?
Yes.
I love it. So
That's
that's
how-
well. Okay. So, do you ever keep track of how many miles you log in a year?
No, I don't.
Because okay, just after officially becoming partners or whatever, last year I traveled more with you guys last year than I probably have in the entire previous decade combined. Even if you took the COVID off the map, where it's like, okay, you couldn't, okay,
Yeah.
even remove that. So like, even when I would have had free reign and the ability, but I'm blown away by, like you said, you meet GP in Cabo,
Yep.
and it's like, bro, and then. So Calvin is going to.
He's going to Asia with his family. He'll be gone for 2 months. I'll be gone for 1 month. But the business doesn't stop, right? The leadership, the people that step up, they're going to continue what they're doing,
So we have to try a Fired Up Friday from live from
Sure.
Europe. Okay, I love it.
Sure.
So now, how do you?
Actually, it works because, 7-8 hours. So I'll be in the evening, so I can hop on.
Yeah, it'll be like just about time to go out for dessert. So, how do you do that? To go away for a month? That boggles my mind.
Because the business doesn't run me, right? And I don't need to run the business anymore. I'm not managing the business. Typically, when I was a broker, I would have to manage, and I had partners we had to manage. But when you're a part of a platform that takes care of the back end, all we're doing is just making the more connections, and that's why I love what I do now is just making more connections with people.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely made for that.
Yeah.
The whole thing of like, the pressing the flesh and kissing the babies and shaking the hands. And
I don't know about kissing babies. Yes.
that's certainly not me.
Not the Pope.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, you need a Daniel mobile where you could just drive through and build the network and just wave.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're going to Europe, and I'm trying to think of, I don't know if I could even do like 2 weeks, let alone a month, but do you put anything in place as far as like, okay, you're in charge of this.
No.
I love it.
Because the thing is, because of COVID, everything's done remotely, and our cell phones now, we're all connected. So we don't have to physically be here.
Well, and the fact is you are actually like super tech savvy,
Yeah.
which is, you would think that would be ubiquitous in today's world, but it's not. I mean, we get folks constantly like, I don't have Dropbox, or I don't have, whatever. And it's like, well, how does anybody send you anything? Or, but there, yeah, you can work totally remotely. And then you've got the VAs. Yeah. And that's one thing too, where systemization and processes just make me crazy. And I'm in that, right? I'm in that mode now. Like Wayne calls it a complexity ceiling, where you hit a wall or a ceiling where, okay, there are too many moving parts for me or anybody sitting close proximity to me to actually manage. And so that's the thing that's been just giving me fits and not having the patience to find the right people. How do you get over that? Like, have you ever brought in somebody that was just a knucklehead?
Well, there's always people. That's human nature, right? Like I said. But, with your business is a little bit different because you are local right now and you physically have to do stuff.
Yes.
Where my business now is not that. It allows that freedom, so versus if I was doing transactional stuff, yes, I would have to physically be here, deadlines, and that would tie me down.
Yeah. Well, and so like I'm actually, we're systemizing everything. So it's like I have the process pretty dialed in. Now it's just a matter of one of the dangers, and I don't know if you've had this happen where you get to a level where you're good enough and big enough to go to the next level, but the next level runs the risk of like literally just like knocking the pins out from under you.
No, so for me, for the next level is finding those leaders that are stepping up. So I have another partner that just onboarded. or Cindy Vo. She was in the escrow off. You know,
She's a machine, by the way.
and she's creating her own network. And Cynthia Day, Paul Roberts, you know, Anna Cantu, all these leaders that are stepping up, they're creating their own network. So the only way you're going to scale this, like what we're doing, is leaders taking charge and running their own and managing their own groups. And that's how it works. And I'm not doing anything different. I'm learning from the other leaders that have, you know, a few thousand people.
Because that blows my mind too.
Yeah, it does. Because, you know, I was talking to Chris Saunier last night, and, you know, just looking at, you know, his organization of 3,000 something people. Does he manage 3,000 something people?
You couldn't.
No, he couldn't. He has other leaders that are growing, you know, and that's the power of growing the levels of, you know, this platform. And this is nothing new, right? You see a lot of companies doing the same thing now, and that is how the real estate brokerage business is going to be run, because it's sharing revenue, right? If you're going to grow a company, right, just like if I was a own broker, I'm growing my company, I should get rewarded on revenue, right? That's coming in from agents, and there's no difference. The only difference is we own it all together.
Yes.
And that is a big component. What I truly believe is ownership. Agents having ownership together. With this community that we're growing. And the thing is, the goal of this community is not just do transactions. It's just like, hey, you're an entrepreneur, just bring resources together. And like a lazy Susan at a Chinese restaurant, that's what I look at it. We're all sharing the dim sum together, right? Sharing the hot sauce.
Right on. I love it.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to use that now.
Yes.
Sharing the hot sauce.
And, oh, man, now you just made me want dim sum. Okay.
What time is it? It's open. It's going to open soon.
Don't threaten. I mean, well, and the beauty of it is, it's like I have also expanded because of you. My palate has grown, and so like now.
Are you still eating one meal
yes,
a day? Okay.
Yes, but that's why right now I'm in the window is approaching, and so the one meal a day thing. I'm old, so it's and I'm old, and I've become self-aware enough to realize like, okay, I'm not the guy go to the gym guy, and I'm not the. You know, I'm going to go out and run like Paul. Paul has probably run more this week than I have in the entirety of the 21st century.
So, what is this? Are we branding
yes,
these
we
vitamins?
Are. Yes,
mushroom gummies.
Yes,
this is what keeps him fired up. Right here.
But I'm not. They're not the really really good ones like the old me would have liked. They don't make. They don't. Those are actual mushrooms. But. So yeah, I'm not over here like seeing Daniel with 5 heads or anything like that. That would probably make for a more interesting show on some level. But and then the other thing is this Magic Mind stuff. That's matcha tea, nootropics. So I'm a huge fan of just all of these biohack.
Now we know how Rick.
Yes, and I'm trying to biohack and be a capitalist at the same time because my goal has been to can I get one free thing out of, you know, but that presupposes we have an audience. So that's a work in progress.
You can put it on the tagline down here.
Yes. And you had the great idea of the affiliate marketing. So there we go. Yeah. I'm on that.
Got to be creative, right?
Yes. I'm all over it. So now what do you got? What do you got coming up? Anything interesting?
Interesting? No, I think.
That's right. You're off to Europe.
Well, I'm off to Europe. I already booked my flight, found my Airbnb in Paris. Now I'm going to be driving. I know that they have a great train system and stuff like that, but just with the kids and all the luggage and all that, it's that control thing, right?
Are you going to get a Tesla truck?
No. But we'll drive. We will taking trains in Spain, but the rest of the trip I'll be driving, going from Paris to Amsterdam to Zurich. I have a classmate that, you know.
Amsterdam.
And then down to Lugano, where I went to college.
I was just going to say, yeah, so you'll be kind of like sort of a home game there for a minute.
Yeah, I haven't been back to Europe since 2007. So be excited that I'll have actual GPS on our phone. I'll have internet. Because during college, internet was just starting.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't have GPS. We were using maps. So, but I got around with those maps. So the day before a trip that I was making, I would memorize the map. I would study it. So, because, you know, you can't funnel through a map when you're in the city. You just got to know your direction. And I got around.
Right on.
I mean, I made some wrong turns, but at least I knew where exactly kind of where I was going.
No need to panic.
Yeah. But now I'm going to try with the GPS and set
Dude,
it.
that's awesome.
And I got Waze, so I could watch all those Swiss speed traps. I got so many tickets in Switzerland.
Well, and so like one of my investors, he was in Europe for 6 weeks earlier this year, and he would give me reports like that. He goes, I don't really like Paris. He was like, I don't really like this, that, or the other thing. And then it turned out like he goes, well, Paris, the people were actually a lot nicer than I was told, or whatever.
Okay.
And so I'm getting like these reports from the front, and my whole takeaway was like, no, thank you. I'm just, you know what? There's 4K footage of that on YouTube now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm good, and I'll have Daniel's European selfies to fill in all the gaps.
But the purpose of the trip is I really, my wife deserves a nice trip. She's been, the only reason I can grow is because she handles so much stuff at home. She still takes care of the family business. She's a CPA. She handles all the financial asset management of all of our assets with the family. So, yeah.
So she's clearly the MVP.
Yes.
Yes.
So I will balance, meaning I won't be all working.
Sure.
It'll be family, but at the same time there's opportunities, right? Every corner, everyone I talk to, every connection, I'll probably walk into a Century 21 office or a Remax office and just say hi, because that's the opportunity. Because you might find a leader that says, hey, I want to grow in the U.S., but I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm not licensed in the U.S. And if they're open-minded, they want to understand, that's the opportunity, about growing an organization that you're no longer bound by territory.
Well, I love that you're morphing the old school door knocking into like, well, I'm going to go to Europe and then talk to some. I love it.
Why not?
That's awesome.
I mean, I did that even before the platform I was on. I would still go to real estate offices, understand the market, and meet people.
I have done that, like in Naples, and in like Telluride and stuff. I would go in and just kind of check it out and all of that.
Yeah, you're making friends.
Well, that is like one of your superpowers, is just to be, like I said, I didn't believe you guys were as genuine as you actually are. Yeah. Whenever, at first you're like, wait a minute, or at least that probably speaks more to my previous life.
Yeah. We all have scars. We all have different scars.
Oh yes, and yes, I have plenty. But they've healed over nicely.
That's good.
So I thank you today for just coming in, jumping on the spot. I knew I could count on you to go live, though. That was awesome.
No, appreciate what everything is going and how everyone is growing. So appreciate everything, Rick.
Oh, and thank you.
And the rest of the team.
This wouldn't be happening without you.
Over there.
Yeah. And the boys. And so from the former Touch of Class Barbershop, which is now studioUSA, we are fired up for Friday. And Peter will now take us out.